Good morning. We're here for Kids Art, and we are going to be making some watercolor tiles. So they're all about 4x4. And so the idea is we're going to make, I'm just going to use the camera here and kind of turn this around and show you what we got going on here. We have these all taped off and ready to go, but we're going to show you how to do that here as well. So these are going to be gratitude boxes, and so what the idea is, we're going to make 8 of these, and you could certainly make more, and then they'll go in these cute little gift boxes, and you put them in here and you can give them to somebody as a gift. So some of the ideas, and then you would write your ideas of gratitude on the back of each of those little watercolor cards. And so just had a couple of ideas that you could use, and again, these can be good ideas for gifts for somebody for the holidays. So inside of there, if you wanted to maybe put your favorite memories, you would write this on the back of each of them, and I would suggest you maybe do this before you do the watercolor. So if you're doing this a little bit later, you could always just pause the video and do it later as well. So some ideas to write on the back of each of your little tiles would be favorite memories with somebody or favorite memories about somebody. Just maybe some of your favorite things. Just a minute, Ella. Just say your favorite things about that person. Maybe some things that you are thankful for, like if you're giving this to your mom or dad or grandparent. Just writing down some ideas of things that you're thankful for, and maybe some of your favorite things about a particular holiday, or memories around Christmas or Thanksgiving or any holiday. And so those were just some ideas that we had. Do you guys have any other ideas of things that you could write down on the back here? Like if you were going to give this as a gift to somebody and you wanted to write down some nice things on the back of each of these cards, do you guys have any ideas of what would be good to write on the back?
You could write, if you were sending it to your mom, you would probably say, "Thank you for watching over us and being with us all the time."
Okay, sure.
And watching us.
What if you were giving it to a friend or something like that? Would you have some ideas for that, or?
Thanks for playing with me.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so those are just some ideas that you guys could maybe put down for on the back of your cards, and we're just going to go over our supply list here. So you'll need a paintbrush. You'll need some watercolor paper. Can I just tell, and you can hold it up as we talk about it. So you'll need some watercolor paper. We cut all of these down to 4x4 squares. I believe you can just order 4x4 watercolor paper. They're called like 4x4 watercolor tile, I think is what they are called. We tried ordering them, but they were out of stock until like December, so we had to cut our own. You'll need some painter's tape. So this is going to be to tape off the edges of each of your sheets of watercolor. So the idea behind that is just to make it look cleaner. Sometimes just the way that you present art is what makes it really stand out. Like for example, we ended up matting these string art that we did in the background, and it just really makes the artwork stand out. So you don't have to tape, but I would encourage you to do it because it makes it look a lot prettier. So we have watercolor paper, painter's tape, paintbrush. You will need some watercolor paint. So we are using, this is a Van Gogh watercolor, and they come in these little tubes. Ella, could you go right over there? There's some watercolor palettes over there, just so we can show what other people probably commonly have and what we actually gave out in the to-go boxes. So these are right here, Ella. Right here. Just grab one of those watercolors. Yep. So you'll need your watercolor paint. No. So these are probably what you have at home, and this is also what we gave out in the to-go bags for each of the kids that picked up their kids' art bags. and those will work just as good. So we're going to practice a couple different watercolor techniques. So if you decide that you want to do a particular technique for all 8 of these, you can. So you may want to just watch the video and then come back and decide what you want to do as far as the watercolor goes. So we're going to do a different technique on each one of these. There might be one that you like better than another. So we're going to also need some salt. You will need some saran wrap or some kind of plastic. You could probably also use like a plastic bag, like a grocery bag. Tinfoil might be an interesting way to do it. We've never tried that, so maybe something to experiment with. You'll need a crayon. The color doesn't really matter. And we like to use paper towels, and then also we have a little bowl of water to clean out our brush. And you'll want that after every time that you use color. You're going to want to wash out your brush so that you don't muddy up the colors that you have on your watercolor paper here. So again, this is just an example, one that we already made ahead of time. So when you tape off the edges, it's going to give you that clean white line all the way around, which I think that just really makes it stand out. So we have a list of 8 different watercolor techniques that we're going to do here. And so Ella, do you want to hold this up? Because we're not going to get to this just yet. So this is, we did this for another kids art. It was a watercolor practice. And so
this one is orange and blue.
Yep.
This one is light, really light green.
Yep.
And some blue and black. And
yes.
This one is
but this is
scales.
just showing the different types of techniques that we used. And I'll just move that in a little bit closer, get it out of the sun so you can see better. And so, like I said, there's lots of different ways to use watercolor, and so we're going to show you how to do that today on each of your different tiles. First thing we're going to do is finish taping off a couple of David's tile over here. So we're going to head over here, and I need my tape. And so Dave, do you actually want to hold this? And you can just video me doing this. Okay, so we have we're just taping these right down to the table. If you have an art table, that would be great. We do, however, our regular table has also become our art table. So what you want to do, I'm just sort of eyeballing about an approximate straight line. It's not perfect. I'm not measuring any of this, which you could certainly do if you wanted to. So I'm just taking a piece of tape and tearing it off, and then I'm coming onto and laying it down on the paper so that it covers maybe a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch, maybe something like that on the paper around all edges. So again, we're doing 8 of these. If you decide you want to do less or more, that is totally up to you. It does get a little bit tedious just taping off all of this, but like I said, if you decide you want to skip that part, go ahead. So when you lay this tape down, you will want to wait until the watercolor is completely dry before you peel the tape off, because a lot of times the paint can still run once you, even when you're finished. If the paint isn't dry, it'll run out onto those white edges. So we're going to go ahead and flip this around again, and we're going to go ahead and start with our watercolor. So we have our paint brushes here. I'm using, this is a round brush, and this is a number 5. You could use, these are all number 5s. Dave, here's yours. And we have our colors here. on our plate, and that will be David's, and you and I are going to share this one. We have our bowl of water, and so we begin by getting our paintbrushes wet, and so I just put it into our bowl of water here, and you have the paper towel to just use that to get off any excess water if you decide you have too much water on your brush. So we're gonna start with, let's see what I do with my list. We're gonna start with a gradient of colors that are on the color wheel. So Ella, do you wanna hold up the color wheel here and just show them what that looks like? Okay, so we have...
The color wheel is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple.
Right, so these are the colors you see on the rainbow, right? So we are gonna do a gradient and of colors, and I want you to choose 3 colors that are next to each other on the color wheel somewhere. Yep, that is orange. So for example, if you choose orange, you're gonna need to get a lot more water. So when you use watercolor, we use quite a bit of water when you're mixing it with the paints. Way more water, yep. Okay, so if you start with orange, and if you start with orange, I want you to, you would do like yellow and then green, or you could do orange and then red and then purple. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna choose your starting color. So Ella,
Do you know what I usually do? Yeah,
well, we can start with, I'm going to show you what I'm going to start with and just video this, and these guys can make whatever they like. I'm going to start with yellow and work my way back to red. So I'm going to do yellow, orange, red. So I will turn the camera around here, and so I'm going to get my paintbrush wet, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab some of my yellow. So if you guys want to choose a color to start with, you can go ahead and do that too. And then I'm going to come onto my canvas here, which is my watercolor paper, and
so what do we do?
Just choose a color to start with, and then I'll tell you which color to move to next.
I want to draw a face.
You can do whatever you want, Ella. So these guys may choose to do something different on theirs, which is totally fine. So I have my yellow. So next I'm going to come to orange. So Ella's already got some orange here for me. And then I'm going to lay this down on my paper. And then I'm going to just start to blend this up into the yellow here. And you'll see how that color starts to blend here where the yellow and the orange are together. And you can add extra water to the paper as you're painting, and it'll create kind of these cool different variations here where it's real light and then a lot darker here. So I did my orange, and then I'm going to come and grab some of the red.
I want some purple.
Okay, I think that's this one right here.
Yep.
So I got some red here, and then I'm going to start down here in this corner.
It looks like dark blue.
And work my way up into the orange. And so when you have the colors and where they meet here, you just gently nudge those colors together, and then they start to blend. So this would just be one way of doing that. So Dave, you started with, is this the purple?
Yeah.
Okay, so Dave's got some purple going on right here. So I would encourage you to put your blue here, and then you'll start to bring them together. That's okay, go ahead, keep going. And now I want you to get a whole bunch more water on your brush, Dave. A whole bunch more water. Grab just a bunch of water. And then start painting. Start painting closer to that direction.
I don't want to eat so then I just like tap it.
Okay, so we did purple, blue, and so your next color
Green.
would be green. Ah, excellent. Okay, so go ahead and wash out your brush, Dave. And then Try and get most of that off and then get a bunch of water on there and just get a tiny bit of this green right here. Okay, and go ahead and put that on your paper. And now grab a whole bunch of water. And just keep painting. Yeah. And you'll see how those colors will start to blend, and you'll get this cool gradient of color from purple to blue.
Do you have brown?
Yes, Ella, but we aren't working with that for this project. So you can wait until we're finished with this and then we'll grab some out. Okay, go ahead and clear that out, David. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is a gradient with one color. So we're gonna choose one color, and then we're gonna go from dark to really light. So to do that, I want, again, just go ahead and clean out your brush. If your water gets really, really dirty, go ahead and dump it down the drain and get some clean water.
Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Ella. All right, so I'm gonna grab some water here before she runs off. Yep, so we'll work on the next one. So you're gonna choose one color, David. I'm gonna go ahead and choose
Just
this.
one?
Yep, I'm gonna choose this orange since I already got a bunch of orange right here. And what you want is a lot of pigment to start out with. So you'll have a lot of color at one end of your tile. So Ella's got my water. I'm gonna wait for her to get back here. All right, so we got a whole bunch of pigment here. We're gonna start up here at the top, real dark.
So just one color?
Just one color, and I want you just to put the color at one end of the tile. So we got all of this color up here. I might even grab a little bit more and make it nice and dark. Now we're gonna make this from a dark orange all the way to a real light orange. The only thing I'm gonna do is use water. So I'm gonna start to, I just rinsed out my brush and I just brought some water onto my palette or onto my canvas here. Again, I came back here, rinsed it out, just grab some more water, come back to my tile, and then start to work my way down here. So I'm just drawing this color down with just water. Grab some more water, come back here, more water. Again, this is watercolor, so we're using the water to move the paint, and I think I also have some dog or cat hair on here. Typical for our house. Okay.
Yeah, black dog, black cat.
All right, so you see how you have this gradient color of real dark, a little bit lighter, and then real light orange. And, you know, you could come back here and just kind of move the paint around however you want. But that is the idea with that. So that looks kind of cool too. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wash out our brush, get all that paint out of there. The next one we're gonna do is called Wax Resist. So what I want you to do is to grab a crayon. I'm gonna use your red crayon here, Ella, is that okay?
Yeah.
All right,
No,
so.
the red one's mine.
Okay, I'm gonna use your red crayon, David. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to come onto one of your tiles and you can draw any kind of design here. So I'm just gonna make some marks. It can be anything. You could draw stars or circles or squares or whatever. So I have a clean brush. I washed it all out. And I'm going to come over here. I'm actually going to choose something that's kind of contrasty to this red color. So rather than adding red on top of it, I'm going to choose this purple blue color. And I'm just going to grab some of the paint onto my brush and then come back over here. And then I'm going to paint over top of it. And where you have the crayon, which is made of wax. Yep, now you can, did you want your red crayon back? There you go. Dave's gonna make some kind of design on his and I'll take you over there in a second. So then you just paint on top of it. I'm just going back and forth and grabbing some of the color off of my palette here. And if you wanted to use more than one color over top of the wax, you could certainly do that too. I just chose to use one color here. And where you add these blobs of like darker color in certain spots, it looks really cool the way it dries. So for example, see where that orange mark is on here? There was a big blob of water sitting there, and I really enjoy how it creates dimension as it's sitting on there and then dries darker and lighter in spots. So there is our wax resist. I'm going to go over here and see what David is doing on his. All right, so he's making this design. Looks like, is that your hand? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. He drew his hand shape.
Well, my hand's a little bigger.
That's right. And then you're going to use your brush, your paint brush. I would probably get some clean water, Dave. So see how Dave's water is getting really dark in here? If you use a light color like yellow, it's going to make the color really kind of brown looking with this dark blue color. So, all right, Dave's working on his design, and then he's going to go over top of it with some color. We'll come back and see what he's doing. Here is what Ella's working on for hers. She's just using watercolor to draw some pictures, which is a cool idea too. Okay, so we did our wax resist. The next one we're going to do is saran wrap. So for this next tile, you can choose however you would like to apply the paint to your canvas. I'm going to, so you're going to choose a color, Dave, any color. Yeah, go ahead and get some clean water and then come back and you're going to paint over top of your crayon.
Any color?
Any color you want. You can do more than one color if you want to. I just wanted to show you this tile here that David did with his purple, blue, and green. That is so beautiful. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this one here, and we're going to use saran wrap on it. I am going to choose 2 different colors to put on this particular tile. Again, totally up to you what you decide to do. I'm going to do some green, since I haven't used that yet, and a little bit of yellow, I think. So I'm over here grabbing some green and coming back to my tile again. I'm just doing this all very organic. I'm not making any specific shape. Just grabbing some color. I'm going to get a little bit more dark in there. Wash out my brush. I'm going to add some yellow. So I'm going to grab some yellow paint here and then bring those 2 together. I like how that's looking. Now when you do the saran wrap, when you're doing this particular tile where we're going to use saran wrap, I want you to have a decent amount of water. So you see how there's kind of a pool of water here, and isn't that kind of cool how you can watch the paint move and follow the water? So I got a whole bunch of water on here. Hopefully you can kind of see that. So I want you to even these spaces up here where this looks a little bit dry, go ahead and add some water in there too. So make sure you got, but again, you can't have it too saturated either. It's kind of this beautiful balance of water and, all right, so we got a whole bunch of water on here, a whole bunch of color, and then I'm going to grab my saran wrap, which I've already torn off just little pieces of saran wrap here, and then you're going to just kind of crumple it a little bit here and there, and then you're going to place it over top of it and then press it down. All right, and then you're going to let this dry completely, and when you're done, you're going to peel it off, and the effect will be something like this, which I think is kind of a cool effect for watercolor. So that is your number 4. Let's go check in with David over here. He just added his color to his wax resist. So this is a good example here of where he used a red crayon, and then we have this red-orange color over top. So it's a little bit harder to see, but also a really cool effect. So I like how those stars are kind of popping out up on top there. All right. So our next one, we'll move to the next one. We are going to use... Okay, so what I want you to do is to paint.
This one's already dry.
Yeah, that one. When we are done with all 8 of these, we're going to go ahead and peel off the tape around a couple of them just so we can see what it looks like. So Dave... Okay, so what I want you to do is to paint either 1 or 2 colors on one of your white papers. Okay, so 1 or 2 colors, or you could use anything. So you're gonna need to see how dry that is right there when you put your brush in it. Get water and then just add it to the paint and it's just like new. All right, so add 1 or 2 colors to that, and then I have a piece of saran wrap here for you, Dave, so you remember how we just crumple it a little bit and then we press it down. The one you're doing right now.
I put this.
No, not yet. When you're done, you're gonna put that down on your canvas and just press it down. We're gonna leave it there to dry. So the next one, we come to another tile. So again, choose whatever color you like. I'm gonna do some blue. So I got some blue going on here. And I just add a little bit of water because I got a whole lot of pigment on my canvas here. Got some blue moving through the center, and then I'm gonna do some orange, because what are my 2 favorite colors together? Orange and blue. I like the contrast of the 2. All right, so... Yep, now this looks really good, Dave. However you want, and then you're gonna put it down on top and just press it down. It can be all wrinkly, because that's what's gonna add the texture. Nice. And then just leave it there. Ella's got a cool little rainbow going on here, which I really like.
And this,
very pretty.
I put this on my heart, and then I took my crayon and I started drawing out the letters. And then once I was finished, I took my paintbrush and put purple over my crayon marks.
Very nice. Okay, so we got some. So again, with this one, you're gonna choose 2 colors, David. 1 or 2 colors. So I got some blue. Like I said, blue going on here. And then I'm also gonna take this orange and I'm just gonna put it on either side of the blue. And again, for this one, with the salt, you need to have a decent amount of water on your canvas. Yep, more water, Dave. Okay, so here's what we got going on here.
How many colors can we do?
You can do as many as you want. So then I'm just going to go ahead and put some salt. I'm actually just going to go ahead and put it right here on this piece of paper towel. And then I'm going to take a pinch of salt in my hand, and then I'm going to come over top of here, and then I'm going to lay it down on top. And the salt is going to absorb up all that extra water that I have laying down on my canvas. And it almost, once it's dried, it almost looks, it gives it texture, but sometimes it almost looks a little bit glittery. This is actually similar to what I already did. Yep, so I'll lay down the salt here, and you can't see it so much, but it does have some texture on there. So there is your salt. So David's going to go ahead and add salt to his. Oh, he's just going to pour it right on there. That's actually probably more effective. That's probably enough salt. Let's go see what it looks like over here. A lot of texture going on. Cool, but he had a lot of water on there too, so that looks really nice. And here's his saran wrap one. Nice. Okay, so our next technique that we're doing is wet on wet. So Ella, would you mind grabbing some clean water for us, please?
1 second.
I'm actually gonna go ahead. So what you wanna do, I want you to clean out your brush. Our water's a little bit dirty, but I'm gonna go with it here until Ella gets a chance to get us some clean water. Just water on your brush, so clean it out as much as you can. And then come over to your another white sheet of paper, and I want you just to paint the whole thing with water. Just a second, let me finish getting water on. Well, we're getting our canvas wet. This technique is called wet on wet. So
Yes.
the paper is saturated with water. So I've got all areas of my canvas wet. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add color to it. So what do I want? So let's do this bluish purple color. And it's actually kind of bleeding into the red here too. So this is kind of a cool color. So you're going to bring that on top of here. And when you add the paint to it, it's kind of cool how it already just starts to bleed out into your canvas. So it looks different from when you're applying the paint to a dry canvas. So again, I'm just making whatever marks, which is honestly kind of more fun. So we have that. I'm going to add a second color. I'm going to add some green to this purplish color in here. And if you look real close, you can see how the paint blends with each other. I got a whole lot of pigment up here on this one. All right, so we got a whole bunch going on there. I'm gonna add just a little bit more water to this here. So I don't like how hard these edges are. And maybe I'm gonna add a little bit more blue too. I like those dark pigments, but it can be really pretty just to have everything be very pale and pastel as well. All right, so we've got our wet on wet. So we made our canvas wet and then we added color to it. Whoa, we gotta go see what's happening with Dave's. That's pretty amazing.
And put little dots of it, then I put water over top of little dots.
Love that. Cool. That's going to take a while to dry. So you can see, let's just leave this one be because, and you can do another one just like that. Look at how that spreads out. The paint's just oozing out into all that water. And if you can see, that is a really thick line of water around the edges here that painter's tape is holding in. So if you didn't have your painter's tape around here, we'd probably have paint all over the table too, which no big deal. Watercolor cleans up pretty easily. Okay, so our next one is going to be, we actually need one of these to dry. So I might come back to one of these other ones that's already dry because it's wet on dry color. So, but let's go ahead. I'll do one here. I won't put a whole lot of water on it, so hopefully it dries real quick. So you would want to put some color down.
So I can do the same thing.
Yep, you can do the same thing. So start with maybe one color. Let's do, I'm gonna do some blue. So I'm not going to add a ton of water to this. I'm just going to spread this around. I'm going to add some other color too. Blue and how about some yellow? Which is making me kind of a green color. Again, more animal hair on here, sorry. And then I'm just going to blend these two colors together. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this one dry. Just gonna let it dry. Hopefully it dries real quick, and then we can come over on top of it to do our wet on dry. And if it doesn't, that's okay. We'll just move on to a different one here too. All right, so I got my color on my paper here. And, oh, that was actually our last one. So I have 7, and then we have 8. This is an extra, a bonus one. We can just do whatever our favorite one was. So this one isn't quite dry here yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to this wax resist one that is dry. So yeah, that's all dry. And so you would have your color down. So this technique is called wet on dry. So you would want your watercolor dry, and then you're going to go and put some wet color on top of it. So we would get, what color do we want to do here? I'm going to grab some green. So I got my green, and then I'm going to come on top of this, and you can almost kind of like draw, which you could do this on just a perfectly dry sheet of paper too. So for example, if you wanted to make a nice straight line, you could do the same thing on here too, because you have a dry canvas. But this would be like layering color on top of color.
Can I put salt on it?
Yep. So you got some swirlies on here.
No, on this one.
Yep. So those are just some of the techniques that we like to work with. I'm going to come over here and just show you a few of the things that these guys made. Ella did flower here. She did a rainbow. She did the wax resist on this one, right? This one was the crayon one. And here's the wet on wet. Is that right? You had it wet first and then you added color to it. Here's also a wax resist where she put the crayon down first and then she colored over top of it. Dave's got, we're gonna peel the color off of this gradient one up here too. So Dave did, it looks like another wet on wet, and then he added salt to this one. So these guys have one thing to note, like there's a lot of pigment. So a lot of paint color on all of these, which gives it this really bright color. But when you do, like for example, that gradient over there, that orange gradient where it's orange and then real light on the bottom, you can make your watercolors be real light and pastel, just like that one. Let's see if I can get my, right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and peel the tape off of this one, just so we can kind of show everyone.
This one?
Yeah, this one right here, because this one's pretty dry. There's no paint that's really going to run anywhere. I mean, it's slightly a little bit wet. So isn't that cool how we have that bright white border all around the edges? Got it?
Yep. Can I have some saran wrap, please?
Yep, I'll grab you a piece. And then we'll show you how to fold up those gift boxes that we sent home in the to-go boxes. Let's try this edge.
I got it. I got it.
All right, cool. Love it how that has the white border around the edges. Isn't that pretty? So once these are all dry, we can write on the back of them. We'll write what our gratitude is. Depends on who these are going to, which is totally fine to do with them after they are dry and you peel this off.
Dry.
The only thing is, so like for example, these ones where we have the salt, some of that salt's probably going to come off if you flip it over and write on it. But that is one way of doing it. So what we're going to do is fold up these gift boxes. So, yep, right here, Ella. Ella's doing her saran wrap on that one. So you want to kind of bunch it up. Ooh, cool. That's going to be an interesting texture. Okay, so I'm gonna flip this around and show you how to do the box. Okay, so those that took the boxes to go, you got something like this. You got some cord, which is just to kind of wrap around it, and you can tighten a bow if you like, and then the little tag. You also got a little round tag like this, and this would just be like your to grandma or whomever you're giving it to. Okay, so you have this box. It's pretty self-explanatory. It has all the folds kind of already in it, but what I want you to do is just this top one where we have the clear window. We're going to take this and we'll fold it inward. This is going to be the top of your box, so you have that folded. And then again, you have this fold line right here. We're going to fold this up, and we're just creasing this as we go along. You have this fold line here, folding it in there. This is the top of your box, so I'm folding them all down and away from me. So we have the top of our box here. And then this is the bottom. We're going to fold this piece in. I hope this is translating in video. But like I said, it's all pretty self-explanatory. Then we have this piece here on the edge. We're going to fold this in. And again, on the other side, folding that in. And then we have each side of the box. So again, fold in, fold in. The back side of the box, fold it in on either side. So we have something that looks kind of like this. And then you're going to have the sides of the box here, and then the back and the front come together, and there's a little hook. You'll see this little slot where this back piece hooks into the front. So you're just gonna wedge it in there until you can get the little part to hook on the outside there, and then you'll do the same thing on the other side. So then we have our box. Take this, fold it in. I'll slide right in there. And the top can tuck in as well. So this is the box, and once all of your watercolor tiles are dry and you have your notes of gratitude written on them, you can put them inside the box, attach your little name tag, and give it to somebody as a gift. Might be a great Thanksgiving gift for somebody.
Oh yeah, I forgot to do a turkey.
That's all right. We can go back and do another one. I think we have an extra one. Dave has an extra one down there too, and we have another one over there. So we don't have kids art scheduled for over the Thanksgiving holiday, so our next one will be first Saturday in December, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember exactly what we're doing, so you'll have to check in later, and just follow the kids art. It's on J. Eberly Co. Facebook page, and we have an event in there that's called Kids Art, and that's just kind of an ongoing thing. We'll have 3 art sessions in December. I know we're doing a draw along, a Nutcracker draw along.
Seriously?
I think that one's closer to Christmas. We're also doing a pine cone Christmas tree, and I can't remember the other one, which I think is the next one we're doing. So anyway, check back on that. If you guys want supplies for this and you are local and you didn't pick anything up, just go ahead and comment, message me. I'd be happy to. We cut up all these tiles, so I have more cut up, and you can have those. I would send you home with 8. You also get these little gift boxes. I have more of these. I send you home with a little paint palette, and this is yours to keep. Some saran wrap if you need it, and then the rest of the supplies would be up to you to have. We do have some paint brushes if you need a paintbrush as well. So again, just either you can text me or comment on this video, or send me a message on Facebook somehow. Just let me know if you want this. We'd be happy to give it to you It's sponsored by the Ellendale Area Arts Council, and it's free. So you don't have to pay us for any supplies. If you have the paintbrushes, I do ask that you just return those, because then we can use them for a future art project and we don't invest so much in supplies. But the rest of it is already sitting here ready to go for somebody else that wants to do this project. So appreciate you guys joining in. Hope you had fun. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Bye.